Hey folks, what's up? Josh Beatley here with the Guitar Player School. Thank you so much for watching this video. In this video, we're going to go over the dreaded guitar plateau rut that just about every intermediate guitar player hits. So this typically happens after you've been playing for 2 to 5 years. You broke through the beginner stages where you were learning chords and maybe trying to do some strumming. You got some bits and pieces of songs maybe, and you're hopefully looking to jam with people. You want to write your own music. You want to play more difficult music, but you just don't really know what to do because up until this point, you kind of floated. You were able to learn bits and pieces and you got some stuff and it makes some music. So you haven't quit. Congratulations to you. You should give yourself credit because 80% of people usually quit in those stages. So what's the problem? The problem is, number one, you don't really know where you want to end up. And you don't really know what that looks like when you get there. So I'll give you an example. If you have a GPS, you plug in a destination and it tells you exactly how to get there. If you want to go to California, there's lots of ways to get to California on your own without a GPS. You typically go west. But whether that will be the fastest way to get there or whether you'll get there at all, you're kind of leaving it up to chance. So having a direct path from somebody that's either been there or a method that kind of leads you in a specific direction, assuming that you want to go in that direction, is really helpful. Okay. Number two, because you think you lack time. And the problem with that limiting belief is that you probably would practice more if you were able to, especially if you're an adult and you got kids and you got a job and maybe hopefully you're retiring or maybe your kids are grown. But it's not necessarily a lack of time, although I'm sure we would love to practice many hours a day. Your quality of your practice makes a huge difference. So if you know what to practice in what order, and then you know how to effectively practice it, you're going to get there a lot faster. And the struggle is most people were able to just kind of mess around with some things while watching TV, and you got somewhere, and that worked in the beginning, but it doesn't work anymore. So to get a real direct result, you have to work in specializing in specific areas. And if you go too wide working on too many things at the same time and you don't know how to integrate them, what happens is you feel like you're just going nowhere in all of them. Sound familiar? And that's okay. All right, the next thing is because you lack gear. And the thing is, we could always get more gear, but it doesn't actually make you a better player. So the problem with that, here we go. The problem with that is, you might get inspired for a little bit and you might be happy for a little bit. Everybody loves New Guitar Day. But it doesn't actually kick you up that notch of sounding better as a player. The gear might sound player, but I'm sure you'd agree that the musician themselves, the guitar makes no sound until you pick it up. And the story of Steve Vai hanging out with Eddie Van Halen, and Van Halen picked up Steve Vai's rig, was playing his guitar through his amp, and Vai was like, holy shit, that's Van Halen, because it sounded like Van Halen. And there's other stories of people playing through Eddie's rig and being disappointed that they don't sound like Eddie. So it's in the player. You have to develop your own voice. It's not always the gear. And then because you lack motivation to move forward. And what's really going on is, again, you don't have the end result in mind. You don't know how to get there, and you don't know how to apply new things that you learn. So again, it feels just like you're firing a shotgun. You're just spraying and hoping you hit something instead of being a laser. Okay, so this is really common for intermediate guitar players. They get stuck. And what helped me get through it was I got a teacher, and I told him, hey, I want to learn everything. And he said, well, what do you know? And I showed him, and he found the weaknesses and the gaps in my playing. And with him, I was a metal player, but I told him I wanted to learn jazz so I could apply it to metal concepts to develop my own sound. And you hear that in a lot of modern metal guys now. They're not just shredders. They really know their stuff. You don't have to learn how to play like I do. You can play like however you do. But the point is that if you don't know where the gaps are in your playing, you don't know where you want to end up, you don't know how to get there, you don't know how to develop your own sound, yeah, it's going to feel easy to feel like you lack talent, like you don't have the time, like you don't have the gear that sounds good, and that you don't have the motivation to get there. So I just want to challenge you to take inventory and be like, did anything I say ring true to what you're going through? And that's okay if it is, and if not, great, leave me a comment below. Let me know if I missed anything or if you agree with anything. And I hope you break out of this rut very soon. I help my students do it all the time, so it's totally possible. My guys are usually in their 40s, 50s, 60s. So anybody can do it. It's just will they get over the limiting beliefs, give themselves permission to move forward. That's totally up to you. All right, this is Josh with the Guitar Player School. Practice rock on.